Hello, and welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we believe that a mutant power that literally lets you manifest other people's nightmares is taking the X-Men to kind of a dark place. I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing, mixing up the series a little bit. Anyway, today we are going to take a look at the customer profile pages in the DeltaNet. Now, the customer profile pages are the page that you will find yourself on when you click on a customer or basically access a customer in one of half a dozen different ways. For example, if I go up here and I type in a customer name, I see they pop up in the autocompleter, and I can click on View Customer Info, and that will take me to that customer's profile page. Alternatively, I can click on CRM, and maybe not, because these tiles are customizable on a per company level, but you may have one here that says Manage Customer. And if I click on that one, or you may even have one right on your dashboard that says that. But that takes me to the same kind of point, so I can go here, and I can type in a customer's name or their email address, and then that will take me to that customer profile page as well if I were to select that. Or I can actually scroll down here to my list of customers. So I have my hot new customers section, or scroll down further to my customer detailed list, and that gives me all of my customers. Then I can click on the customer's name here also. I could even go to customer list. So I would go over here to CRM and then click on customer list and bring up a customer that way, and I can view profile. So any one of those ways will all take me to the same page for that customer, which is their profile page. So we'll scroll down here and I'll click on our customer. And here we are. So now we've made some changes to this profile page, and that is the main reason we wanted to do another video on it, so we can go over and see the kind of functionality that we now have here. So first, in the top left, we have their actual profile section. So this is what's responsible for all of their customer information, their contact information, and all that sort of stuff. So if we take a look here, Edit Profile allows me to make changes, and there are more fields available to me than what's being displayed here. So what we do is we only display things here that have information in them. So if it's a blank field, in order to save space, we don't show those fields. Delegate. So if you have delegate privileges or you are a team leader, you will have the ability to delegate this lead to other team members. For example, if I were a team leader and I had logged into the team account or authenticated as the team account, I can go here and click on delegate. The lead would still belong to me or belong to the team in this example, but it would actually be worked by the person that I delegated it to. So that is what this functionality does if you have access to that. And also if the mortgage system is on, you can create a mortgage request for this lead from here. So if I click on Edit Profile, that's going to bring up their profile page, and you can see here their basic information's up top. I have their group, so I can put in some group associations here. So we'll go ahead and put them in my hot customers group, and let's put them in another group too. And the point is you can click on this and you can put them in multiple groups. You can add them to a pipeline phase from here. So you would just choose from those pipeline phases, and that's what will show up on your dashboard page. And we can click on See More Information and expand out some additional kind of contact information that we can add for them. And you can also see their email opt-out. So if they've been opted out, this would be selected to yes. Or you can view their individual email subscriptions, which is handy as customers can opt out of one thing and not another. So they could get a campaign email, for example, and then opt out on that, and that would opt them out of that campaign, but not email blasts or e-cards also. So you can opt out of some things and not others. And then their birthday goes in here also, and you can create a calendar event automatically for their birthday if you have a date in here and you select that option. And then you can also add keywords to this customer, which just is another way that you can search for the customer if you choose to. So we'll go ahead and collapse that stuff. Now we have transaction information, so if I expand that, you can see that I can add a transaction to them, and I have all the fields available to me there as to whether it's a purchase or a sale, and information about the property itself. So we'll close that out. Post address information or postal address information, we can add an envelope salutation, but beyond that, it's just adding addresses. And you can see here you've got primary address, business address, and you can add in new other types of addresses also. So if they do have multiple properties and you want all those addresses stored in here, you can do that. And I would add more just by clicking Add Another Address. And now I can add another new one. Next, we have additional contact information. So this lets me put in social media information if I want to add social links in here, if I have links to their social media pages. But I can also do additional email addresses and additional phone numbers. And With these, just like addresses, I can use this add another email or add another phone button to add as many as I'd like. So we'll close that out, and then down here under family information, I can add family members to this particular customer. So you can see I've got 2 added here already, but if I wanted to add another one, I would click add another family member. But we'll go ahead and expand the first one. You can see there is a child added here, and there's that child's name. And as we scroll down, we can create calendar events for their significant dates. So birthday would really be the significant date there. Or I could check this box if I want to delete this family member. And then we'll expand the next one. You can see I've added another one here. This one's spouse. And with an email put in, I can choose to CC this family member on emails that go out to this customer also. So there you go. And that is specifically for the spouse emails. Now when I have this set up the way I want, I'll just click on Save Changes, and that'll save any changes that I've made to their profile. So we'll go ahead and just close this one. There we go. Now you can see I did add them to a couple of groups high on the page, and you can see that those groups now show up here also. So I can see their status right up front and center, and I can see their groups up front and center also, and then their engagement score. And the engagement score is looking at various criteria as how they've interacted with the website and interacted with emails that have been sent to them to determine kind of how engaged they are. And you can see when you roll over it gives you a little bit of a description there, how active this customer is. Now the next thing we have here are customer notes. So this is exactly what it sounds like. You just click add a new note. You can put some information. You have some options to put some formatting in here if you want to kind of format your note a little bit. You can choose a category for your note. So most will be regular, but there are some custom categories that your company could have created and made available. If it was a call, it's a good idea to mark it as a call. So let's say you called them up, had a discussion with them and you want to leave some notes. It's a good idea to mark it that way because it can kind of be filtered out that way. But you would just put in your content here and click done. So I'll go ahead and type in a note. This is my note. Click done, and you can see it added the note on here. Now the other thing it did is put a timestamp and everything on there. So I can see who added it, in this case I did, and I can see when it was created in here very easily. So it creates a new block for each one. There we go now. Another thing to point out here is that of these other types, I can also make a type of pinned. So what that's going to do is pin a note up to the top of the list. So we'll take this one. Right now it has dropped one below because it is the older note, so the newest ones are always on top, unless there are pinned notes. So if I edit this one and I change it from regular to pinned, you can see it puts my pinned note up on the top. Now the idea there is if you have some information that you're going to use really commonly or really often when you contact this customer, it might be a good idea to put that in a note and pin that to the top so that note is always up front and center, and then all the additional call notes that you put down when you contact the customer all kind of fill in below that one. Now the next piece we have here is tasks, so I can click on add task. Now it's automatically attached to this customer because I'm making it from this customer's profile page. And I just give it a date. I can make it an all day, and essentially what I'm doing here is creating a calendar reminder. So it can be all day, or I can set it to run at a specific time or to encompass a specific time. I can set it to be repeating. So if I wanted it to remind me of the same thing every day, or maybe just once a month, I can put that in. And these are kind of our standard event repeat options. So monthly, you can choose how many months. So if I wanted every other month, I could change that to 2. So every 2 months on day 7. And it is nice that it gives you a little little description up there at the top. I can choose to repeat by day of the month. Now I can also do day of the week. So if I wanted it to remind me every Tuesday, something like that, I can. And I can also choose how long it will continue to repeat these before it'll stop doing the repeating. So I can do that based on occurrences, how many times it happens, or just pick a date, and they'll just stop repeating after that date. And then next, I do have the option here to mark it as complete. Now I'm not going to do that now because I'm just creating the note, but the idea is I would create the note and then later on I could open it up and mark it as completed. Because this is as much of a to-do as it is a just regular calendar event. And then the next thing I can do is I can have it send out a reminder beforehand to remind me that this is coming up, and then I'll also give it an action and some notes. The action is the main thing, so that's going to be kind of the title of this to-do. So when it shows up in my to-dos list, this is what I'm going to see. And then notes are just some additional information about that so that I can pull it up when I click on it if I'm looking at it in my to-dos. So I would just fill those out, click add, and that would create a new to-do for this customer. So I'll go ahead and say follow up. Why not? Make a follow-up call. Add that, and now there it is, and then that's also shown up in my task interface. Now another thing that's nice about this is because this customer has a phone number, I can click here to make a call, or if I have my virtual number stuff set up, I can click a button to make a text from here also. Now moving on, the next thing we have here, the Save Searches and Market Watch Reports interface. Now this is an interface that we've recently redone, so that's part of the reason we wanted to go over this page. Now you can see this used to be a bunch of separate cards here, but now instead we have just a list of items. I won't go too into detail on how to create a market watch and how to create a saved search because we do have other videos that kind of focus on that, but this is mainly about how to display and interact with those ones you've created. So to create one, I would just click on Add Market Watch and follow the steps there. And likewise, to create a saved search so that the customer gets notified when a new listing comes on the market that is comparable to the kind of thing they're interested in, I would just click on Add a Saved Search, and then it takes me to a search page, and I'd follow through the steps from there. But once those things are created, they show up in this list here. So the piece that's changed is we now have the title of our item. We have what type it is, so whether it's a saved search or a market watch. So you can see in this case, I have 2 saved searches and a market watch. What date they were last changed, so if you've made any changes to these, or it'll be the date you created them when you first created them. But if they're modified after that, this will be that date, so date modified. And now I have a few buttons that pertain to that particular thing. So for Save Search, if I click on Details, you can see it gives me some more information. Now this should look familiar. This is essentially what the card was that used to appear in this section. So it gives me some more details about it, and then a couple of additional options if I want to be copied on this, or if I want to automatically have any new listings found with this Save Search added to the customer's saved listings. So I can select those options here, I can delete it, or I can click on Edit, and that will take me through to the search page where I can now modify that Save Search. So we'll go ahead back to Profile, scroll down a bit. Now you can see we also have shortcuts to the edit and delete functionality here, so I don't have to open up the card to get to those. If I just want to get rid of it, I can just click delete from here. If I just know that I want to edit it, I can just click on edit from here, and that's going to take me straight through to that results page. So we'll head back again. Now for Market Watch, that is going to be very similar behavior. So here we have our Market Watch title. We know this is a Market Watch, last changed on July 20th in this case. Now if I click on Details, it opens that similar looking card, only my options are different for a Market Watch than a Save Search. So in this case, I can change the frequency of this Market Watch. I can choose to be copied on it, and then like the other option, or like with Save Searches, I can click on Edit to modify it or Delete to delete it from here. Now the additional options is I can also preview it or send it from here. So those are the standard Market Watch options. A preview lets you preview it in the browser or send it out as an email or pull up a print version of the Market Watch, which is actually not so much a preview, but it's on a special print template for those watches. So I can click on that to bring up any of those. I can either do that from this details card, or I've got shortcuts right here in the list for those also. So if I wanted to send it out directly or look at a preview, I don't have to go through that page. Also, just like the Save Searches, I can click on Edit from here and go straight to that edit page, so I don't have to go through the card. The card is just, or the details card is really just for getting that additional information, controlling the frequency, and then seeing the additional options here. Now the next piece we have here is Saved Properties. So this is any property that the customer has saved on the website. So those would be customer favorites. Now by default, this is set to all, so this is showing all properties that are saved to this customer. But if I select favorites, that's just going to be the properties they've favorited on the website. Listings I've shown are going to be listings that you've shown to them. The idea is that you can go in here and save a property for them after you've shown it to them, and you'll be able to pull those up. So I can say listing I've shown, put in the MLS ID and some comments, and then I can easily pull up a list of everything that I've shown to this customer. So that's the idea there. Any open house they've gone to, so we can go up here and I would add listings that same way. So it's just ways that you can segment properties that you save for them. So the idea here is that customer favored is things that they've saved. Listings I've shown, attended open houses, buying and selling are all things that I've added for them. So if I know they're interested in buying a certain property, I would add that here that way. So I would say add a saved property, interested in buying. Then you can see it opens up transaction information in here. Typically this information isn't set at this point because they are interested in buying it, but setting it basically turns it into a transaction. So there you have it. You just put in the address of the MLS ID, and then you select the listing. All There we go. So if I just choose that listing, you can see that fills in, and then I can put in the additional information and save it. And now I have that saved here. Now the next thing you can do here is I can hit export, and I can export all of those. So I can export this list and get that in a CSV if I want to use that in some other way. Now the next thing I can do is, this is the area specifically for saved transactions, so a dedicated transaction area. So to do that, I would just hit add a saved transaction, and you can see we put in the property information. We can determine whether it's a purchase or a sale, enter a transaction date, transaction price, and just put all the information about this particular transaction. The other nice thing I can do here is I can send the customer an email or an SMS message prompting them to send me a review, because the idea is once this transaction is completed, then I'll put this date on here, the date that it actually happened, the price that it actually went through at, and then have the system send them an email automatically asking for them to come to my website and leave a review for me. So there you go. Now these transactions will also be taken into account on the Pipeline Manager page. So on the dashboard page in that pipeline or sales pipeline section, these transactions will be taken into account there. So that is something else to keep in mind. Now the next piece we have is the campaign section. So from here I can add the customer to an individual campaign if I choose. All of my campaigns are listed out here. Or if I have a campaign where I'm adding all customers automatically, which could happen a lot of the time, say a holiday campaign, for example. There's one of those in here. There we go, holiday campaign. You can see this customer was automatically added to that campaign by the system, and that's because I'm automatically adding everyone to this campaign. But let's say this customer didn't want that campaign. Well, I could change this opted in to opted out. So now everyone else is still being added to this campaign, but I have individually opted out this single customer so that they won't receive emails from it. And you can see it shows us as opted out now, so it's easy to recognize that. And then I can click on View, and that'll take me through to the Campaigns page where I can view details about that campaign. So go ahead and click on View. So now that's moved us over to the Campaigns page, and it actually even scrolled us down. So there's our holiday campaign. And if I expand it, there are the emails in the campaign. So there you go. Now also note that that did open a new tab for me. So I still am right where I left off on this page. I can just close out that tab. That way I don't have to find out where I was. Now the next thing here, we have the history section. So this is designed to show all the correspondence I have had with this customer, basically any back and forth we've had. And not just that, but anytime the system has sent them an email on my behalf. So My Customer for Life emails will show up in here, Home Finder emails. This also shows their activity on the website, any listings they viewed, listings they've made requests on. So all of that information shows up in this history section. Now, because we realize how much information that really is, we can go down here to filter by, and we can filter it to specific things. So if I only want to see their saved search emails, I can look at saved searches. Well, these aren't the emails, these are the saved searches themselves. So I can look at when they saved those searches and see the specifics of those searches. Now the next thing I can do is I can go to my Home Finder emails. Now these will be the actual emails that went to them. Now this is particularly handy because when the system is sending them these saved search emails, you're not necessarily seeing them, or even if you're having yourself copied on them, maybe you're being copied on these emails for a bunch of different customers. So if they call in and they say, I'm looking at the third listing on this email you sent me, you can find out exactly when they received that email and then go back to this list and click this little arrow here and it will expand it and show you that actual email. So now you can scroll down and see exactly which listing they were talking about. So it's like that for all of these emails, and that's a very handy resource. So anytime they contact you and say, you sent me an email that has this information on it, it's very easy for you to go in here, expand it, see the contents of that actual email so that you can know exactly what they're talking about. Now the next piece down here, we'll go ahead and scroll down a bit more. So we have the messages section. So messages allows you to send a new message to the customer. Now this would just be a message that appears on their profile page on the website. So when they came to your website and logged in, if they go into their profile to review their saved searches or their saved listings, anything like that, there is a messages section available on that page. Any message you create with the send new message function will appear there. Next, you have the send new email function. So if I click on this, this allows me to just send an email straight out to this customer. So if I've done that, and I can copy myself on this message. If I've done that, that will log in this list also. So that is the particularly nice thing about this, is the fact that every message I send through here will be logged in this section, so it's easy for me to pull it up later on. So that would be a benefit of sending the emails from here. Now the next piece is if you do have your virtual phone number turned on, and we have another video that details turning on virtual phone numbers and all the SMS messaging stuff. But if you do have that turned on, you'll have an option here to send a new SMS message. And if you click on that, you just type out your message and hit send, and that'll send them a text message. And that will also be logged in here. Any reply they send to that phone number that text message came from, which will be your virtual phone number, will also be logged here in this list so that you can easily see all that. Now the next thing you can do in this page is you can add files to this customer. Now the biggest thing to make sure of here is that you're not putting overly sensitive information in here. That is what this warning is designed to tell you about. We do give you the ability to store a file for this customer or store a file related to this customer, but keep in mind that this system is not designed for storing things securely. So personal information and secure information is not something that you'll generally want to store here. However, if you do have some files related to this customer that you would like to store that are not of that nature, to do so, you would just click on Add Files, and then you can either drag a file into this box from your desktop or from your file browser, your Finder if you're on a Mac, or you can click Add Files, and that'll open up your file browser on your computer, and then you can go through and select the files that you want to upload here. Once you've selected those, you just click on Start Upload, and then it'll run through the process of uploading, and once uploaded, that file will be accessible in this section right down here. And now the next piece we have are AVMs. So if this customer has ever used the Find My Home, or What's My Home Worth, not Find My Home, What's My Home Worth feature on your website, or on the company website, as the case may be, that home that they searched for, that property they searched for evaluation on, will appear in this section. Now that's particularly useful for you because when they go in and, say they're a prospective seller, they go in, they put their property address in, they get back a valuation, you'll be able to see that information when they inquired about it, and you can also generate a reverse prospecting report for them right from this page. Now if they haven't done it, you can still go here and say create a new prospect report, put in an address, just as if you were looking for a valuation on that. And you can do the same thing even for active listings. I would just switch this to active listings and do a valuation that way. So even after their listing is on the market, I can still produce a reverse prospecting report for it. Now, at the same time I put this address in, I can have a market watch created as well. So it's just kind of a handy shortcut. The idea is that I want them to be getting information about the market that their property is being sold in. So I can put in that address, have a market watch created, and get the reverse prospecting report all set up kind of in one piece. So we'll go ahead and close that out. So to do that, I would just put in the address, select it, move on to the next step and save it, and that would add it here to this list. Now once it's here, I can either delete it or I can click on Prospect Report, and you can see it loads up the page that gives me all the information about this property that we found. And I can modify that if I choose to, because that's what's going to appear on the reverse prospecting report. We try to pull it in from public record, but if it doesn't exist, or at least doesn't exist from where we're pulling those records from, then you do have the ability to put it in by hand. Next, you can customize the headline that shows up in the paragraph on this report, and then the paragraph itself. Once you're all set, we'll just click on email if I wanted to email it to them directly, or I can click on download, and that'll generate a PDF. And now if I click on that, you can see it opened up in a new tab, and this is what that prospecting report actually looks like. So you can see a real representation of how many active buyers might be interested in that home. So this is going to be particularly useful for like a listing presentation. So we'll go ahead and close that out. And now the next piece we have here is MCFL activity. So if they have any activity related to the MCFL system, that would show up here in this section. And there you have it. That is the customer profile page with all of our recent updates to it. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give us a call and we'll walk you through whatever you need, or send an email into support@deltagroup.com. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I will see you again next week.